Making the best chicken pie in the universe starts long before we even look at a chicken, although that's where the magic happens. And we'll get to that in a second. But for now, we start with a simple, but not boring, short crust pastry. The most important word here is cold, as in keep stuff chilled. Start by cracking 2 large fridge-cold eggs, any way you like, into a bowl or whatever, to which you add ice-cold water. And give it a good whisking to combine. Pour it through a little sieve to get rid of any snotty bits. If stuff is warm, then you put it in the freezer for 5 minutes. Next, you sieve 500 grams or 4 1/4 cups of plain flour into a bowl of your choice, followed by 10 grams or 1½ teaspoons of fine salt. Give it a good old whisking to combine before tackling the butter, which to no one's surprise should be freezing cold. Chop it up into little cubes, then add it to your flour mix. Rub it into somewhat of a sandy texture, but do not make a fully uniform mix. Irregular pieces of butter will result in a better texture. Once your mix looks good, you go in with a cold egg mix. Move over to a fork or chopsticks and mix it to combine. Again, it's important not to overmix it here, because we are working towards the correct texture. It should still be crumbly at this point. Next, you dump the mix onto a bench and start pressing it together. Resist the urge to knead this thing. Just keep pressing it until it somewhat stays together. Wrap it up in plastic or parchment to keep old Greta happy. Then chill it in the fridge for at least an hour, but better overnight. You can of course simply use deboned chicken thighs for convenience, but you'll lose on some serious flavor and skill if you do so. So for this recipe, we'll use 2 whole farmer's chickens. Firstly, we remove the crown from the legs, then the legs from the spine. Any fatty bits goes onto the tray with the meat. Nothing here goes to waste, and everything makes a flavor contribution. If you want, remove the wishbone or make a wish, or simply cut around it. Your life, your luck. Next, you remove the breasts, which are not the best for pies. But we have a trick up our sleeves, which we'll get to in a second. Finally, you remove the wings and you have yourself a massive tray of delicious vegan produce. We separate the pieces into 2 groups. The bones, the fat and the wings goes onto one tray, while we put 4 legs and only 2 breasts on the other tray. The 2 extra breasts go into the fridge or freezer for another day, or never. You might have seen recipes where the whole chicken gets roasted or boiled, then picked apart for the meat. But that's the short-sighted, old way, which again, you could do if you like, but it won't do much for your happiness. What will do a lot for your happiness is lubing the chicken up with some oil, seasoning with salt and roasting it in the oven set to 230 degrees Celsius or 445 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes as a start. Keeping the breast juicy-loosey is as simple as sticking a probe into them and pulling them out of the oven when it reaches 69 degrees Celsius or 156 degrees Fahrenheit. The legs should be soft when it reaches around 74 degrees Celsius or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. In both cases, you remove the skins and get them onto the tray with the bones. And in both trays, you'll end up with a load of chicken juice. Harvest it while it's there and simply pour it into a container for now. This is pure chicken juice and maximum flavor. The tray with the bones goes back into the oven to roast until deep, dark amber brown. Once cooked, you pour off the fat and keep it to the side for now. The only true vegan butter in the world. Remove the bones from the tray and place it to the side. And notice the delicious faan or roasty bits stuck on the bottom of the tray. We need them for flavor. Obviously, not for health reasons, but get them we will. Deglaze and scrape off the bits by adding 250 milliliters of dry white wine, or water if you don't drink. Add the resulting liquid to your roast chicken bones and let them hang out for a while. While we indiscriminately chop up 150 grams or 1 cup of extremely well washed leeks. 150 grams or 3 sticks of celery, 250 grams or 1 large carrot, skin on is fine, 1 whole head of garlic cut in half, and into a large pot goes a touch of rendered chicken fat. Then start cooking out the veggies. Move them around continuously and don't add any salt. Once the aromatics are starting to look and smell good, you add 10 grams or 5 each dried shiitake mushrooms, 6 dried bay leaves, and 10 grams or 1 tablespoon of peppercorns, followed by the roast chicken bones and deglazed pan juices. You top it up with just enough water to cover it. You don't want to overdo it because you need to concentrate the stock to make our sauce. Add too much and you'll lose a lot of flavor and time. There will be a bit of chicken juice in the bottom of the bowl holding the legs and breasts. Add that here too. Then bring it to a steady simmer or slow boil. We're not trying to make a clear stock here, so we're going against the rules. We're making more of a sort of ramen style stock with maximum body and flavor. Skim the initial impurities and from there on, just let it go on a steady simmer until reduced by half. Meanwhile, we make the base for the chicken mix, which unsurprisingly start with the cooked chicken. Pick the meat off the bones, but don't break it up too much. As we work with it later, it'll break up more in the process. The breasts get a few random rips and simply run a knife through it a few times to avoid stringy bits later. Pop it into a large dish as we'll need the space for mixing it soon. The bones you can chuck into your chicken stock as well. For the veggie base, we start by chopping 150 grams or 1.5 cups of very well washed leeks, followed by 350 grams or 4.5 cups of chestnut mushrooms. Don't go too chunky, neither too fine. We need a little bit of texture, but not too much. Heat a large pan with 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of olive oil or chicken fat if you have enough. Brown the mushrooms, stirring often for equal caramelization. Don't salt it yet, as this will draw out the moisture prematurely. While they cook, you pick a few thyme sprigs as well as crush 30 grams or 5 garlic cloves. Once the mushrooms are soft and browned nicely, you add the chopped leeks, garlic, thyme and 9 grams or 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Saute it slowly until the leeks are soft, then add a touch of chicken stock, as well as 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Let it simmer away for a few more minutes until the stock and soy sauce has all evaporated. Add this mix to your chicken and give it a good but gentle mix through. In the same pan you cook the veggies in, add 50 grams or 3.5 tablespoons of butter, as well as 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of rendered chicken fat. Let it melt, then add 80 grams or 1/3 of a cup of plain flour. We're making the binding chicken sauce, also pretentiously known as a velouté. Let the flour cook out properly to a light blonde color. Grab your pot of reduced chicken stock and ladle and strain out 600 milliliters or 2.5 cups worth. Keep slowly cooking your butter and flour concoction, also called a roux if you're interested. Ladle bit by bit of the stock into the roux while whisking it fully after each go. It'll thicken at first, then loosen up nicely towards the end. Once that's in, you add 120 grams or half a cup of heavy cream, 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, and just to make it triple vegan and quattro tasty, 15 grams or 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And how sad would the world be without 9 grams or 1.5 teaspoons of salt? Give it all a final little whisking, and now you have one of the chickeniest things in the universe. Add that to your chicken and veggie mix, and finally, but not too finely, chop 25 grams or half a cup of tarragon. This is the bit that will take this from the best chicken pie in the universe to the most unforgettable chicken pie of all time, and time to come. Add it to your filling and give it a stir. And then, as importantly as washing your hands before you eat, cool this filling down completely. Yes, there's a lot of steps, but you can make this thing way in advance, making a little bit at a time. The filling is also at its best once the flavors had a day to socialize. Anyway, cool this down quickly as a flash if you're soldiering through this, like I did today. Heat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius or 390 degrees Fahrenheit, fan assisted to make sure it's nice and hot. Grab your pastry from the fridge and let it sit at room temp just to come up to temperature a bit. You don't want to force it and break the pastry all over the place when you start rolling it out. You'll need a 23cm or 9-inch springform cake tin, as well as a good old paintbrush. Once your dough is around 13 degrees Celsius or 55 degrees Fahrenheit, it's ready to roll out. Lightly dust your work surface with flour, then start rolling out the dough from the center to the outside. Round the outside, round the outside, until your dough is roughly 4 mm or 0.16 inches thick. Place your springform tin in the middle and cut out a large circle, big enough to cover the base and the walls of the tin, including some overhang. Butter the tin generously with cold butter, then line it with your pastry. Push it into all the folds and make sure there's no trapped air pockets. Avoiding problems is easier than dealing with them later, especially when you've made it this far. Once the pastry is in, you trim it so you're left with 1.5 cm or roughly half an inch overhang. You should now feel proud of yourself because, well, we've almost reached the last stretch. Pop that into the fridge to chill down for 10 minutes, while you roll out the pie lid. Do this with all the extra bits of pastry you have left on a lightly floured surface. The one you did it on earlier should be fine. Same thickness as before, then into the fridge to chill for 5 minutes. Grab your pie base and start loading it with your chicken filling, which should be cold, remember? No one likes a soggy, fatty crust. Fill it up almost to the brim, leaving 2 cm or 2/3 of an inch free at the top. This is so we can seal and crimp the lid. One thing you'll notice is the consistency of the filling. It should not be runny at this point. As it cooks, the sauce will relax and everything will be nicey, tasty. Place your pie on top of the pastry and draw a big-ish circle around it. Cut it out and fit it onto the pie. If it doesn't fit the sides flush, then don't worry too much. Just work it together all the way around until the whole thing is sealed. For the egg wash, we need 2 egg yolks mixed with 30 ml of water. Give it a good whisk and pour it through a strainer to make sure you don't have any bits around. Brush the pastry all over with a thin coating of egg wash. Trim the edges however you fancy. You can even cut out little shapes or whatever with the extra pastry and stick those on top for decor. For this one, I just go old school 2-finger crimp all around. We also need a little vent right in the center to let steam escape. I simply use 2 round cutters to make a little donut shape like so. Brush your pie one more time with egg wash. When you do this, try and do it as thinly and evenly as possible. Once that's done, you stick it into the fridge one more time for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you do a final little egg wash and optionally, with the back of a knife, make a few decorative lines on top without cutting the pastry. You are now as close to having perfection as possible, and your hard work will soon show a marvelous result. Pop your pie into the oven and cook it for 40 to 45 minutes, rotating halfway through for even brownish. Once cooked, you'll feel somewhat guilty for what you're about to do to it, especially now that you've somehow conjured up a pie that looks better than most things you've eaten up until now. Shiny, buttery, and smelling extremely sinful. But the proof is in the pie, I suppose. Carefully remove the springform sides, revealing a perfectly browned pastry wall underneath. Flaky and short, all at the same time. I like myself a big messy slice, which is exactly what I suggest you do too. The filling will try to run away from you, but don't let it escape. Don't try and be all foodie with this either. It's a pie, And once you start eating it, it gets juicy and messy, which is exactly how it should be. But before you go and get messy, go live a happy life.